gets better every year.
Welcome to the AudioRoad Network. It's time for questions from the AudioRoad with Kevin Rutherford. The show is all about the business of trucking. We're live Monday through Friday, midnight Eastern. Call 646-595-4967.
Your taxes, your truck, and your road to success in the trucking industry. This is Trucking Business and Beyond, the show that puts the money where it belongs, back in your pocket.
Welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. The number to join us, 8888 Road Dog. Pick up the phone and dial right now. You should be able to grab an open line before we get started. 8888 Road Dog is the number. We'll get to those calls in a little bit. The website is letstruck.com. The show is all about the business of trucking. We'll take your calls and answer your questions about trucks, money, fuel mileage, maintenance, tires, taxes, technology, health and fitness on the road, getting started as an owner-operator, finding freight, working with brokers, getting your authority, you name it, we'll talk about it. All you have to do is pick up the phone and call. We're going to get to those calls, like I said, in just a minute. If you dial right now, you should be able to jump in while there's still a chance. You know, rates have been the big news lately, and it's the big news everywhere in the industry. I have been all over the country the last couple months. I've been at more trucking events in the last 2 months than I've done in the last 2 years. And I've spent a lot of time talking to a lot of people who really know their segment of trucking. I spent some time with Noel Perry, who's I would say he's the best trucking analyst in the country. As an analyst, his job is to watch the numbers in trucking, big numbers. You know, what's going on all over the country or all over the world, what's going on with freight, and looking at all the signs of what's going on in the economy and predicting where we're going with freight. And there are analysts in every industry. Trucking analysts have it harder, because trucking is what is considered a leading economic indicator. What that means is many other analysts in other industries watch trucking because it's a leading economic indicator. Whatever trucking is doing now, the rest of the economy will follow within the next several months. So trucking is one of those segments and industries that there's really nothing else leading it. You've got to look at other data and try to interpret what's going on, and Noel's just excellent at it. So I had some time to talk to him. It's why I decided to come out and do this road trip, to spend time with people in the industry. So much is changing, so much is going on. So we've been talking a lot about rates. I've talked about rates with everybody, from major truckload carriers down to drivers to freight agents, brokers, analysts. Everybody's talking about rates, and everybody says the same thing. No matter how long they've been in the industry, they say these are the best rates they have seen since deregulation. That means these are the best rates we've seen since the 70s, because deregulation happened in 81. Now, you can't compare the rates prior to deregulation. Those are meaningless because those were artificial rates instituted by the government. The government decided what the rates were under a regulated industry. Then we had deregulation in 1981, and then the free market got to set the rates. So now we've had, 40 years almost of deregulation. So, I say, well, I've been in the industry 32 years. This is the best year I've ever seen for rates. I talked to Chuck Snow, who is the CEO at Trafix, a very well-respected, successful carrier in Canada. They're also the oldest freight brokerage in Canada. Chuck knows what he's talking about. He says he's never seen anything like it. That's what I'm hearing across the board. So that's a pretty big thing. I mean, I've been in the industry 3 decades, and to be able to say this is the best rate environment I have ever seen. And I've been saying at all these events, you know what, it's exciting and fun to be in trucking again. There's new stuff going on, rates are good. It's an exciting and fun time to be in trucking. And after all that, you know, I spend all day with people who are very optimistic. And these, you know, when I go to these events, whether it's the TIA, which I just left in Palm Desert, or I was at the Louisville Truck Show, or I was at an event for C.H. Robinson, these people are plugged in to the industry in a lot of different ways, and everybody's optimistic. The only people you can talk to in the supply chain that are not really happy right now are shippers, because they're spending a lot to move freight and still having a hard time getting a truck. Well, that's just the way business goes sometimes. But everybody in the supply chain, in logistics, is pretty darn optimistic right now. Until I log on to Facebook, and I am shocked at how many posts I can find complaining about rates. And what they'll do is they'll pull a posted load down off of a board somewhere and say, oh my God, why would anybody pull freight at this rate? Well, if you don't want to pull it, don't. How can we be in an environment that people who have been doing this for decades, who really understand what's going on, continue to say this is the best rate environment we've seen, and yet I go on Facebook and I see complaint after complaint after complaint. I saw one, I think I might have talked about this last night. I was really tired last night. But I saw one where somebody was posting that this load of Legos should pay a lot more because Legos are really expensive. And I don't know why I bothered to get into an argument, and I didn't let it last long. My brain finally woke up and realized what a waste of time that was. But I was arguing with somebody that the value of the freight itself has nothing to do with the rate you're going to pay to move it. Now, there are some exceptions. There are some really, really high dollar items that require extra security and clearances, and yes, those are going to pay more. But they're not paying more because the freight is valuable. They're paying more because they need additional services and security and protection. But it doesn't matter whether... I used to make money hauling garbage, really garbage, like garbage to landfills. That coming off the East Coast back into the Midwest, that was a steady freight you could always count on. And that you would have to say at that point, the freight itself, not only does it not have any value, it's worth zero, it's worth less than zero because whoever is moving that freight has to pay the landfill to take it. But yet, that stuff paid pretty decent. There were times when it paid really well. So there's such a clear misunderstanding of basic business concepts. When people complain about rates, all they're saying is they don't understand how business works. Supply and demand will set 85% of that rate, maybe even more. In some cases, supply and demand will be almost 100% of the rate because there are shippers and receivers who could care less about quality or service. All they care about is, will the freight get to the dock that I want it to get to? Mostly undamaged, sort of on time. And if that happens, then they're fine. And they want to pay as little as they can. Well, that's their prerogative. That's business. Doesn't mean you have to pull that freight. So I have been on a big push, and I'm excited about this. I'm going to be doing more of this. A lot of the material that I produce, whether it's the columns that I write, the seminars that I give, the courses that I create, my show topics here on the air, almost all of them are primarily about trucking. Lately, I've been doing more about business. And it doesn't mean I'm going to get away from trucking, not at all. I'm doing more business to help people be more successful in the trucking business. At Louisville this year, I did 3 seminars back-to-back, 3 days in a row, and I tied them all together. Each one stood on its own, but I tied them all together, and people kept coming back. By the third day, it was standing room only. And in 3 days, those 3 seminars, I bet I didn't talk specifically about truck stuff for even 10% of the time. I talked about business 90% of the time and then tied in how it fit into trucking. And I think that's a key. I think more people need to understand business to be more successful. You still have to know trucking, but you've got to know business. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of that. In fact, that's my next project starting tomorrow. I have some business courses I'm going to be working on. Stick around. We'll be right back. We'll get to your calls and questions right after this. Kevin Rutherford.
Are you a driver that wants to take control of your own destiny and have the freedom to make the choices that affect you and your loved ones every day? If the answer is yes,
then Stop Holding the Steering Wheel audio program was designed for you.
in this one-of-a-kind audio program, Kevin Rutherford reveals the secrets to running a successful trucking business, taking the plunge to owner-operator, finding and negotiating for a new truck, and managing money once you earn it. Are you willing to do the hard work? It's time to stop holding the steering wheel and start driving your business. Order your copy today and create the business you've always wanted. Visit our online store at letstruck.com or call our TribeCare Team at 855-800-FUEL. That's 855-800-3835.
Hey, AudioRoad listener, what is your profit per mile? How about your cost per mile, or even your bottom line? Stop driving blind and know your numbers. Profit Gauges is absolutely simple bookkeeping specifically for owner-operators. Have instant access to business and tax reports that will help you increase your profits and keep your money in your pocket where it belongs. Sign up for Profit Gauges today and take advantage of our 30-day free trial. Know your numbers and master the journey. Visit our website at letstruck.com or call our TribeCare Team at 855-800-FUEL. That's 855-800-3835.
Did you know that 35% of fuel economy can be attributed to your driving habits? Use the Scan Gauge KR to maximize your driving efficiency. The Scan Gauge KR has built-in and programmable digital gauges that allow you to read instant fuel mileage, average fuel economy, and dozens more gauges as you drive. Get to know your truck and learn how you can improve your fuel cost and keep your money in your pocket where it belongs. Drive smarter and master the journey. Get yours today at letstruck.com or call our TribeCare Team at 855-800-FUEL. That's 855-800-3835.
As a professional driver, there is no question that fuel is your highest cost. Fuel Gauges tracks each fuel up, provides your 30, 60, and 90-day miles per gallon average, also tracks maintenance and modifications. Best of all, it is completely free to use. There is no excuse not to use your miles per gallon and start improving your fuel economy. Download the Fuel Gauges app today and keep your money in your pocket where it belongs. Let fuel gauges help you master the journey. Visit our website at letstruck.com or call TribeCare Team at 855-800-FUEL. That's 855-800-3835.
Welcome back. I'm Kevin Rutherford. The number to join us, 8888 Road Dog. We're going to get right to the phone calls tonight. We're going to start off in Pennsylvania. Joe, welcome to the program.
Hey, Kevin. I want to start off by saying a big thank you because I actually heard about Convoy from you, and that's been a really good app. That's actually the best thing I've had since I started my business.
Ah, excellent. Good.
As far as rates go, and I actually was wanting to find out, do you know of any other apps? I've tried like the JB Hunt 360 app, and I can't ever seem to hardly even get $2 a mile on there. So I've never even booked anything through there. But do you know of any other apps that might be helpful as far as brokering?
You know, I have been playing around with and testing all the apps and looking at all the technology companies and the digital brokers. And I've been doing that on and off for almost 2 years now, almost since the last time I was at Connected, which would have been 2 years ago in May, I think. So I've been doing this for a while. And the reason we chose to partner with Convoy was I just thought they had the best technology. I thought they had the best setup. You know, I'm watching some of the big traditional brokers struggle trying to get into the tech side of it. And, you know, you would think it would be easy. You know, just look at what somebody else is doing and then, you know, kind of copy it or do it. But things don't work that way. You know, there are some really, really good traditional brokers that I've looked at their attempt at technology, and it kind of sucks. And then you have a company like Convoy, who has very, very little trucking background. They're a technology company. They've hired some people in trucking that are helping a lot. So they're doing their homework, but they certainly don't have the experience, and yet they put together really, really good technology. And, you know, their whole model seems to be getting better every month. The rates seem to be getting better. Their freight seems to be more solid. They just announced their guaranteed detention pay, and you have to do nothing. The app does it all for you. So I don't. I can't think of another.
Well, you do have to there's a thing on there where you have to select apply for detention, and it starts after the 2 hours, but you just have to press a button on the phone.
Right, yeah.
All you have to do.
You know what it used to be like trying to get detention. Nobody bothered because you weren't going to get it anyway. You had to try to prove everything, and, you know, so they've really turned that game around. You know, the only other app, after thinking about all the technology I've been looking at, are you using like truckstop.com?
I do a lot of broker boards. I've only been in business now for, I think we're right at our year, or maybe a little bit over. And I've been driving for a long time, but just finally decided to get my own authority and stuff about a year ago. And we run a lot on DAD and truckloads and Convoy. We have the JB Hunt 360. I've wanted to run freight for C.H. Robinson. I just can't ever seem to be in the right spot to get a good rate with them.
Yeah, and sometimes that's just the way it goes. It takes time, to build those relationships, find out where their best freight is, that kind of stuff. I would encourage you to look at truckstop.com and look at all their rate tools. So not so much of an app necessarily, but when you go online with Truckstop, and that's how I would start my day. And I do this. I get up in the morning, I log into Truckstop, I check what's going on with the rates and the trends. Then I start playing around with different lanes and loads and looking at, they have tools that show you what your negotiation strength is. You start to learn how to use their system, and it will tell you there's, X number of loads available in this area. There's X number of trucks. You see the ratio. You see what your negotiation strength is. I could go on and on. I mean, I can do seminars for hours about their tools. So as far as a load board and rate tools, truckstop.com is where I spend all my time. As far as an app, once you're out there looking for freight, Convoys is certainly the best I've tested out of what I've seen so far. Other than, and this one won't work for you, but I got to give them kudos for this. I haven't really talked about this much because I've been so busy, but I started this trip back in February with a seminar in Fort Worth for the Landstar BCOs. And the day I did the seminar, they were releasing their new app, so they let me announce it and play around with it. And their new app for their BCOs is killer. Not only, do you find a load, you can put together 10 days worth of loads with just the click of a mouse. I mean, it's or touching your phone. I mean, it's an amazing piece of technology how it will take a whole bunch of available loads and put a trip together. And it'll put multiple trips together and let you choose which trip. I mean, it's like looking for, a flight on Expedia or Travelocity. It's of all the technology I've seen so far, that one really stood out. But that one is only available for their BCOs.
Oh, okay. So it's only for Landstar.
It's just an internal Landstar BCO app. But I had to talk about it because we were talking about apps, and it's just so darn cool. But I think, if you're happy with Convoy, like I said, we are officially partnering with Convoy. Sometime this summer.
They've gotten more markets.
They're growing.
You couldn't get a convoy load out of like North Carolina and stuff, and they're starting to pull out the East Coast now.
Yeah, they're growing. I mean, they've got a good management team. They've got money behind them. They've got good technology. Their biggest challenge is getting up to speed on trucking, and they seem to be doing a pretty darn good job of it pretty quickly.
They're excellent people.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I know that. I've been working with them. That's why we decided to partner with them, but I'm glad to hear it from you.
One more thing, and then I'll let you get to another call. On your seminars, do you give any type of group discount?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we have fleets like Landstar, Mercer. We don't do a lot with fleets, but if we do partner with the fleet or if somebody brings enough people, then yeah, we would certainly talk about discounts. Normally with a company like Landstar, Landstar will have a package at the event where they might sponsor a dinner, reception at night. They might sponsor something like our fuel mileage makeover, and we'll put together a whole package for them, and then we'll give them so many seats at the event. And, based on how many seats they want to put into that package, the more seats they want to add, the more we can discount it.
Okay. All right, Kevin. Well, I'll let you get to the next call. I appreciate everything you do, and thank you for everything you teach us out here.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call. Glad to hear you're loving it over there at Convoy. Like I said, I love their technology. I like the people I've met. I will probably get back up there. I want to get home and take a break, but within the next month or two, they're not that far away in Seattle. So let's, you know what? I think I'm going to take us into the break. We're too close to the break to start another call. When I get back from this break, I'll get to more of your calls and questions. If you want to join us, pick up the phone. You can try right now. You might be able to grab a line, 8888 Road Dog. Keep dialing. The closer we get to the end of the show, sometimes it's a little easier to sneak in. Speaking of seminars and the big seminar that we do, I do seminars all over the country and, lots of different seminars. But the big event for us is our CMC, Certified Master Contractor. This is an event we created 12 years ago. There's nothing else like it. It's been tried to be copied a couple times, not very successfully at all. We're pretty proud of the fact that we're still here doing it after 12 years, and it gets bigger every year. Our last event, we had over 400 owner-operators and small carriers and vendors and partners and brokers for 5 full days. This is a long event. We cram a ton of material in. Believe it or not, even with 5 full days, we're working on the schedule again right now and the content. Even with 5 full days, I have a hard time fitting in all the content I want to cover. So I always have to pick and choose. 5 days isn't enough. I have more content than that. And we bring in other speakers. So grab something to write with, and I will tell you right after the break how you can be a part of the CMC and join us this year in Council Bluffs, Iowa. It'll be September 17th. We'll talk about that right after this. Then we'll get to more of your calls and questions. I'm Kevin Rutherford.
Hey, AudioRoad listener, what is your profit per mile? How about your cost per mile, or even your bottom line? Stop driving blind and know your numbers. Profit Gauges is absolutely simple bookkeeping specifically for owner-operators. Have instant access to business and tax reports that will help you increase your profits and keep your money in your pocket where it belongs. Sign up for Profit Gauges today and take advantage of our 30-day free trial. Know your numbers and master the journey. Visit our website at letstruck.com or call our TribeCare team at 855-800-FUEL. That's 855-800-3835.
Did you know that 35% of fuel economy can be attributed to your driving habits? Use the Scan Gauge KR to maximize your driving efficiency. The Scan Gauge KR has built-in and programmable digital gauges that allow you to read instant fuel mileage, average fuel economy, and dozens more gauges as you drive. Get to know your truck and learn how you can improve your fuel cost and keep your money in your pocket where it belongs. Drive smarter and master the journey. Get yours today at letstruck.com or call our TribeCare team at 855-800-FUEL. That's 855-800-3835.
As a professional driver, there is no question that fuel is your highest cost. Fuel Gauges tracks each fuel up, provides your 30, 60, and 90-day miles per gallon average, also tracks maintenance and modifications. Best of all, it is completely free to use. There is no excuse not to use your miles per gallon and start improving your fuel economy. Download the Fuel Gauges app today and keep your money in your pocket where it belongs. Let Fuel Gauges help you master the journey. Visit our website at letstruck.com or call TribeCare Team at 855-800-FUEL. That's 855-800-3835.
Are you a driver that wants to take control of your own destiny and have the freedom to make the choices that affect you and your loved ones every day? If the answer is yes,
then Stop Holding the Steering Wheel audio program was designed for you.
in this one-of-a-kind audio program, Kevin Rutherford reveals the secrets to running a successful trucking business, taking the plunge to owner-operator, finding and negotiating for a new truck, and managing money once you earn it. Are you willing to do the hard work? It's time to stop holding the steering wheel and start driving your business. Order your copy today and create the business you've always wanted. Visit our online store at letstruck.com or call our TribeCare team at 855-800-FUEL. That's 855-800-3835.
Hey, have you heard? We have an app to make listening to our shows easier than ever. It's free, it's simple, it does one thing, and it does it really well. Download the app, open it, and listen to our shows. The Power Hour, Questions from the Road, Destination Health, and more. Listen live, listen anytime, and never miss a show again. To find it, search your app store for AudioRoad. One word, that's AudioRoad. It's one more way we help you master the journey. Welcome back. I'm Kevin Rutherford. The number to join us, 8888 Road Dog. I'm going to get to the calls. We're off to Nebraska. Sarah, welcome to the program.
Hey, Kevin. I wanted to talk about additives tonight, but not for fuel and oil. In fact, you actually sell these additives in the Let's Truck store. It's called Taste and Score. And at first I saw that and I'm like, well, that's okay, little minerals. And so you taste it and score it, and then what? Then what do you do with the rest of this? But we got it, and you have I think 5 or 6 different minerals. You put the prescribed number of drops on each bottle, 1 mineral at a time, in 8 ounces of water, and taste it. And if it tastes good, or even if it tastes like nothing, you keep taking that amount of drops. You can just do the individual mineral in water each day, or you can find out how many drops of each different mineral you need, and add them all together, throw them in your bulletproof coffee, and retest them maybe every 2 weeks. But a lot of people forget that we don't make minerals in our body. That's something we need to add. And if we don't get it from our food, we get depleted. And minerals are very important because they are catalysts to a lot of the things that go on in our body, like zinc is one of my current favorite ones. It is one of the ingredients to make hydrochloric acid to digest our food properly so we can get all the other nutrients out.
There you go.
It's also important for wound healing and very important for our immune system. And the biggest depletion of zinc is stress. And what do we go through every day down the road?
No, not stress.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend getting the Taste and Score mineral test from the Let's Truck store. And you can test it every day. You can test it once a week and throw the drops in your coffee. It's a real great product, and I thank you for carrying that.
We haven't talked about that in a while, so I'm glad you brought it up, because this was such an interesting part of, all my learning and education. And when I first heard this, the whole Taste and Score thing, I thought, oh, come on, that's just a gimmick. That doesn't work. But the more I studied the science behind it, the more it made sense. Our bodies are extremely intelligent, and they know what we need even when we don't. Our body knows what we need. And the score, the Taste and Score, the concept is, if your body has enough of that mineral and you try to take more of it, put it on your tongue, taste it, whatever, your body will reject it. The taste will be very strong and unpleasant. And it's your body saying, there's enough of that mineral in your body already, because you could actually OD on minerals. They're pretty powerful. It's not easy to do in our society because we don't have many foods that are really high in minerals anymore. There's a reason for that. But it's the body saying it. That was our mechanism. If a food was really high in that mineral and you were eating a lot of that food, at some point you would stop eating it because your body would start rejecting it. It would start to be not pleasant when you ate it. And that's the same concept this company we work with. They make these very, very clean minerals. So it's the pure mineral, just it's aqueous is what it's called in water, so that your body can sense just that mineral. And I've tested these over and over. I'm sure you had too. It works. I mean, I can do a taste and score, and then I can do a true blood test looking for that mineral, and I can almost tell you what the score is going to be based on how the taste and score worked. It's that accurate. So it really is a cool concept, and it's such a simple way to know. Now, here's the biggest reason why we should all be concerned about this. And I never used to understand this either. I would talk to people, and they would say, well, our soil is depleted of minerals. And I would say, or I would think to myself, if it's so depleted of minerals, why do the crops grow so well? I mean, you drive past a farm and the crops look fantastic. They're healthy, they're strong, they're big. Well, once you understand how modern fertilizers work, that's why those plants look so big and strong and healthy. We give them the 2 or 3 things they absolutely have to have just to grow. But we're not providing those plants with the minerals anymore. The soil really is depleted. Organic farming is bringing that back, and all the grass farming we're seeing is bringing that balance back. But that's a big reason why we see mineral depletion in so many people today, is because our food supply is very depleted of minerals. If you're eating a non-organic plant, it probably has very little mineral in it. And if you're eating non-organic farm-raised meat, factory farmed, it's eating that same garbage food that doesn't have any minerals, so the animal is mineral depleted. And that's our food supply. So we become mineral depleted.
Yeah, and I would also recommend don't just put the drops in and throw it back. Put it in your mouth, swish it around a little bit, let your body get a taste of it before you swallow it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And they're, like you said, we carry them in our store. It's not something you have to buy, over and over and over. You get them. They, it doesn't take a lot, so you can use them now. You can use them again later. Basically, when we talk about the fertilizers used today, there's really only 3 compounds in fertilizer now. It's almost all fertilizers: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And of those 3, potassium's the only one we really need. The other 2, not really a big part of what we need, but we're missing all the things that used to be in the soil, like zinc and some of the others. So I'm glad you brought this up tonight. It's a good topic. We need to talk about it more. I need to get back to doing Destination Health.
Yes, you do.
Soon, I promise. I don't know what soon means, but the new schedule, all the filling in I've been doing on the afternoon shows, the events, the travel. I'm hoping that with the contract negotiations coming up at Sirius, I'll be able to get enough hours during the week that we can just do a regular scheduled, 2 hours of Destination Health again like we used to.
Awesome. We'll look forward to it. Have a great night.
All right. Thanks for the call. Good topic. Taste and score. I know it's a weird thing, but it is a really simple way to find out if you are mineral deficient. And I will wager you this, that you are mineral deficient. Virtually everybody we test is. It's a matter of figuring out which ones are most crucial and starting to replenish those minerals. And this is one of those areas that you almost always have to supplement. It's very hard to get the full spectrum and supply of the minerals you need from our food today. One of the foods I started eating that I thought was kind of bizarre when I first saw it, now I really like it, is like the seaweed snacks, like the sesame flavored, and there's some really good organic brands out there, but those are loaded with minerals that we don't get from other food. Iodine, zinc, some of the others that are hard to get are pretty plentiful in seafood and especially in seaweed. So play around with some seaweed snacks. That's one way to get your minerals up. To learn more, I'm taking us into the break. We're going to come back. We're going to get to your calls and questions. If you dial right now, might be able to squeeze one more call in when I come back from this break. 8888 Road Dog. If you want to know more about the Taste and Score, about all the things we do around Destination Health, I know we have kind of backed off a little bit and taken a break from it in the last 2 months since I've been on the road, and our new schedule was serious, and the contract negotiations and the events. But we are bringing that back. There's no question. We're still doing it, just not as much as we were. But if you want to get more information, if you want to check out the Taste and Score minerals or any of our other supplements, you can do that as well at letstruck.com. Look under the Destination Health section. We'll be right back. Stick around. I'm Kevin Rutherford.
Join us for the 2018 CMC Live Seminar, the biggest, baddest educational event dedicated to the trucking industry. This event takes place September 17th through the 21st at the Mid-America Center in Council Bluffs, Iowa. This 5-day seminar focuses solely on the unique challenges and opportunities that truck drivers face every day, not only on the job, but in all facets of life. Learn from the industry's top leaders, network with fellow drivers, and start running more effective and profitable businesses. Spots are filling up fast. Don't miss this opportunity to take action on your business, your life, and your future. Together, we can help you master the journey. Register online at letstruck.com or call our TribeCare team at 855-800-FUEL with any questions. That's 855-800-3835.
Hey, AudioRoad listener, what is your profit per mile? How about your cost per mile, or even your bottom line? Stop driving blind and know your numbers. Profit Gauges is absolutely simple bookkeeping specifically for owner-operators. Have instant access to business and tax reports that will help you increase your profits and keep your money in your pocket where it belongs. Sign up for Profit Gauges today and take advantage of our 30-day free trial. Know your numbers and master the journey. Visit our website at letstruck.com or call our TribeCare team at 855-800-FUEL. That's 855-800-3835.
Did you know that 35% of fuel economy can be attributed to your driving habits? Use the Scan Gauge KR to maximize your driving efficiency. The Scan Gauge KR has built-in and programmable digital gauges that allow you to read instant fuel mileage, average fuel economy, and dozens more gauges as you drive. Get to know your truck and learn how you can improve your fuel cost and keep your money in your pocket where it belongs. Drive smarter and master the journey. Get yours today at letstruck.com or call our TribeCare team at 855-800-FUEL. That's 855-800-3835.
As a professional driver, there is no question that fuel is your highest cost. Fuel gauges tracks each fuel up, provides your 30, 60, and 90-day miles per gallon average. Also tracks maintenance and modifications. Best of all, it is completely free to use. There is no excuse not to use your miles per gallon and start improving your fuel economy. Download the Fuel Gauges app today and keep your money in your pocket where it belongs. Let Fuel Gauges help you master the journey. Visit our website at letstruck.com or call TribeCare Team at 855-800-FUEL. That's 855-800-3835.
Welcome back. I'm Kevin Rutherford. We're going to get right back to the phone calls. We're down to the final segment. We're going to head off to Ontario. Gary, welcome to the program.
Hi, Kevin. Thanks for taking my call. I just have a quick question about profit gauges in Canada. For the Canada tax, the GST, that's refundable. How do I enter that so it doesn't go in as an expense?
You set it up as an account. We have, so when you set up accounts and sub-accounts, we have certain accounts that are locked into the program. You can't change them. You can't edit them. Then we have sub-accounts. And the sub-accounts, you get to choose what type of account they are. And if you set that up, then we can set up some accounts so that they'll only show up on a tax report. We can set some accounts so that they'll only show up on a business report. The easiest thing to do here, rather than me try to talk you through it on the air, is we have Aaron's going to be calling you tomorrow. And Aaron will walk this right through it on the phone, rather than me try to say, we'll get to this screen and then let's go do this. And that's hard to do on a radio show. But we've set this up for lots and lots of Canadians, so we'll get you all set up tomorrow.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call. Yeah, I love talking about profit gauges and fuel gauges, but on the radio, it's a little difficult, and then I lose everybody else. So we will definitely get you taken care of. Let's go to Iowa. Mike, welcome to the program.
Thank you. I'm curious as to where you got your misinformation that the government used to set the rates when we were a regulated industry.
Well, who did?
No, did you ever publish any rate?
Yeah, no, I'm asking you, who set the rate?
The carrier did.
Well, under what guidelines? Because you couldn't just haul for anything you wanted, and you couldn't haul in any lane you wanted.
I'm sure you could. Well, you couldn't haul in any lane. You had to haul under what your authority was granted for. But you set your own rate. The only problem was you couldn't change your rate without going through all the hassle of publishing them and letting the government. You had to send them into the government and get them approved.
Correct. There's your key. Hold on. There's your key. There's your key word.
But you could still change your rate.
It has to be approved.
It
has to be approved by the government. You just said it yourself. That's not the case today. I could go pull. I could.
Well, yeah, but not. They,
what?
They didn't have to. They would never not approve them.
Sure, they did.
The only thing was because they were a public tariff that anybody could see them. So also, then your competition knew what you were charging. That you could set your own rates, and the other problem was it was time-consuming and expensive because you had to print up about 6 copies of your tariff in order to file with them.
Correct. I mean, we could nitpick here, but you said it yourself. The government had to approve the rate. That was an artificial rate, which was. Let's go back to my point.
Artificial. It was still.
No, it was absolutely artificial.
Setting the rate.
Hold on. No, my original statement was correct, and I stand behind it. I said you can't compare rates today to rates prior to deregulation because those were artificial rates. And I will stand behind that. Here's why they're artificial. If you limit the supply of anything, you affect the rate. That becomes an artificial rate. Regulation limited the supply of capacity in any given lane. So it absolutely was the government setting the rates based on the fact that they didn't issue authority if they didn't want to. That was how they controlled the rate. Just don't issue any more authority in that lane. That is 100% rate setting.
Well, they didn't maybe not issue a lot of authority, but they still had nothing to do with the actual rate themselves.
Oh, but come on. Really?
The carriers still got to
this
decide.
is...
No, the carriers got to decide what they wanted to charge. Granted, there was only a small handful of carriers. Maybe,
well, there's
in
my
different
point.
things.
And my whole point behind this whole conversation was so many people today don't understand basic business concepts. If the government controls the supply, the government controls the rate. Because supply sets the rate. Supply and demand sets the rate. If the government controls the supply, which is what deregulation was all about, the government deregulated industries, trucking, utilities, all kinds of industries, so that the rate would stay artificially high. That was the whole point of deregulation. Because the claim was, early in this country, it was impossible to start an electric company if there were 3 or 4 or 5 other people trying to do it at the same time. Nobody would have survived. So the government had to limit the supply in order to force the prices high enough so that the companies who were in business could stay in business. If that isn't an artificial rate, then I don't know what is.
Well, I'm not saying it wasn't artificial, but like I'm saying...
Well, that was my whole point.
I disagreed with the point that you said the government set the rate.
They did. I just explained how.
Could cut any rate they wanted to at any time.
No, they couldn't.
It just took a long time to implement that rate.
You just said any carrier could put in any rate. No, they couldn't, because you might not even have authority in that lane to set a rate.
Well, yeah, if everybody operated in a certain authority...
Correct.
You could only cut the rate because why would you have a rate for a product that you couldn't haul?
Well, what about a lane? I can haul from Cleveland to Dallas, but I can't haul from Dallas to Cleveland. So I can't set my rate from Dallas to Cleveland. I don't even have authority to pull in that lane. But again, we're nitpicking.
No,
my
that's
original,
where we get all our trip leasing and stuff.
I know all about trip leasing. My original comment, I'm still standing behind. You can't compare rates over the last 40 years to rates one day prior to deregulation because they were artificial rates. That is a 100% true statement. They were artificial rates.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll have to disagree with you.
All right. We'll have to.
You could always change your rate. It just took you a long time to do it.
And the government had to approve it. So you're right. We'll have to agree to disagree on this one. But again, my point was it was an artificial rate. Anytime you limit either supply or demand, which the government clearly did in regulated industries, the utilities, the airlines, the railroads, the trucks, everybody was regulated to control the price. It was the whole point of it, was to keep the price artificially high so that those young industries didn't fail. And the reason we deregulated them, which I was completely in agreement with, is because we got to the point where you could run those industries without regulating the price. That's what regulation was about. It was regulating the price by regulating the supply. That's how supply and demand works. So by regulating the supply in trucking, that controlled the price, kept it artificially high. That was my only point in the original statement, was today's rates are great. The only time you will find somebody who can tell you when rates were higher was during regulation prior to 1981. Then, yes, there were rates higher back then. There was also a very complicated system. You have good information, you understand publishing rates, waiting for the approval, but you also were denied authority back then. Companies bought and sold authority for millions of dollars. That's how tightly the supply was controlled. Freight authority sold for millions of dollars. Trucking companies back then, their value was in their authority. Nothing else. They sold for millions of dollars when they had almost nothing. Because if they had the authority, that's where all the value was. And that is clearly an artificial rate controlled by the government. So if I use the word set, I guess you could nitpick the fact that the word set was the wrong rate. Controlled by the government, absolutely. And in essence, they were set by the government, because once you control the supply, you can set the price. If you want the price to come down, allow more carriers to get their own authority. If you want the price to go up, stop issuing authority in that lane or on that commodity. If that isn't government controlling prices, I don't know what is. All right, well, that was our Business 101 lesson for the night. That's kind of my point, though. We need more business people in this business that understand business. Thanks for joining me. We will see you back here tomorrow night. Be safe, be profitable, be fit and healthy. Always do the hard work and master the journey. I'm Kevin Rutherford.